let's get rid of this poof, shall we? So I've brought you in as close as I can possibly get you. So obviously I've already done my eyebrows. That makes a huge difference because it makes your eyes look bigger. It makes your eyes look pronounced. It brings out your features and frames your face. So number one, do your eyebrows. The next thing I'm going to do is put on an eye primer. I like Thank Me Later. This is by Elizabeth Mott, and I get this on Amazon. You need even less than that. Put it between your two fingers, and then just get a little bit on your eye, and make sure you go the entire eye. Give that just a second to kind of settle in. If I have some extra, like I can see it, it should be pretty clear. There shouldn't be any whiteness on your eyelid. The next thing I'm going to do is give my eyes an all over color. And one of the ones that I love the most is from Ulta Beauty. It is their matte cream eyeshadow, and it's the color Game Over. Now this is like a slight pink color. I literally just put a dab and a dab just like that. And it's pretty much almost the same color as my lid. And then I take a brush. This is from Real Techniques, and I just kind of dab it all over. And some of this is not for the poof. Some of this is just how I do my eyeshadow. This just evens out the color on my lid. You could use a concealer, and if you're doing that, then use a concealer that is pretty much the same color as your foundation, so that it just kind of blends in. The next thing to do is just take a little sponge, and it's dry, doesn't matter, and I just kind of use that to absorb any extra on there because I just don't want to do too much. So now my eyelids are pretty much all one color, and that's exactly what I want. So obviously the poof is still there. The eyeshadow palette I'm using is Everyday Faves. This is by Ulta Beauty. This is one of my favorite shadows. All neutrals. It does have some shimmers in there, but it's just a really good eyeshadow palette. I'm going to go into this one here and just give it an all over color. Just to kind of set it. It's not a lot by any stretch. It's not even really going to change the color because I'm not using a ton, but it just kind of sets the whole area. The important part of being able to disguise a poofy area or any area on your lid is to darken that area. Lightness brings things forward. Darkness brings things backwards. So a lot of times younger women will do this eyeshadow look where it's all real light in here and it looks so pretty on them. And then I'll go do that and I'm like, not so pretty. I look like I've got big bulges in the corner of my eye. Not what I want. So what I'm going to do is show you a technique of being able to have that shimmer, but not have it bring out the areas that you don't want. The next thing I'm going to do is to put in a crease color. I'm going to use the rougher number 2 brush. What's good about this is that it's a wider brush, but then it goes to a thin. And this just helps you to pack on the eyeshadow. So go with one side and then go in with the tip of it so that it looks like that, but the other side is not got any shadow on. That's important. Hit it off so that you don't have so much on there. Okay, so I have my brush, and what you want to do is you want to put it in your crease area with the shadow side facing upwards, not downwards. You want it to go up. And you're going to go in your crease and go back and forth, and you're going to just get a very subtle color. This is not a very defined look in any way. I'm going to go a little bit more on the tip. Hopefully you guys can see that it's not a very distinct line. I don't need a distinct line. Here's that poof area. What I want to do is to bring my brush right where the poof part starts, right there. And I'm going to bring up my brush. So I'm leaving the movable lid area so that you don't really see that. I'm going to go a little bit more, doing that same technique of one side. And I'm going to bring it out to here. Like you can see, this area is a little bit lighter than the rest. Now I don't have too much of a line, but I do want to make sure I don't have any lines. So I'm going to take my brush that I used before. This is the number 1. And I'm just going to just kind of make sure everything is blended well. Don't worry about if anything gets here. We'll clean that up later. It's not a big deal. The next thing I want to do, I want to define this area. And you've seen this before, but I'm going to take the Refer number 13 brush. This is a little bit smaller of a fluffy brush. All right, for this one, I'm going to dip it in, hit it off, and I'm going to just take this right on the tip and use a little bit of the corner just to define that area. Nothing drastic. This is a very simple look, and I'm going to bring it over just a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to this point on this eye before I go farther. Okay, I did the same look on this side, and I did do the corner just like I did this one. Of course, even though this one isn't as puffy, I want the two to match, of course. So obviously do both the same way. Now I want to add a little brightness on my eye because it seems a little bit dark, and I want to be able to add a shimmer. I don't have to do this. I could literally at this point put some mascara on and be done. But I want to show you that you can add some shimmer. It's just the placement of it is very important. I'm going to use a lighter one because I want you guys to see it really well. I probably, if it were just me doing this, I'd probably use this one. But I'm going to go in with this one because I want you to see that you can use this and it'll look great. I'm going to use the Angie and BK Beauty number A505 brush. The reason I'm using this is, again, because it's really flat but wide. Now, could I use my finger? Yes. I have a hard time using my finger on my own eyes because I have very limited space, and my finger is just, it's bigger, and I have a hard time maneuvering. So I will use a brush. So I'm going to go flat and then make sure the excess is off. So I'm going to just take it. And the key to this is to go right under the poof. Don't let it go above it. Go right under it and get it all packed on there. I'm going to take that sponge that I used before and I'm going to just kind of blend it going this way. Because I do not want this going anywhere into that poofy area. So that's what it looks like with the shimmer put in there. You can see how it's not on that poofy area at all. Before I go farther, I do want to bring some of the color down to here. So I'm going to use the Refer number 3 brush. This is one of my absolute favorite brushes from them. This is very stiff, not too stiff, but a little bit stiff, but it goes to a nice point. And it just gives me the color I need in that area. It's just wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that middle color. I don't want to go as dark as this one. I'm going to use this one. Put it right on the tip. Make sure the excess is off of it. And then I'm just going to take my brush and just go very lightly right underneath my eye. And I'm going to bring it up just to give it a more distinct line. It's not very strong. It's pretty subtle. I just realized I didn't do the shimmer on this eye, so I'm going to go and do that again. Okay, I do want to add some lightness right underneath my eyebrow. What that does is it causes people's eyes to look higher up. Okay, so for this area, I want to use a very small stiff brush, and I'm going to use the BK Beauty 204. This is good because it's very short and thin. I'm going to put that much on my hand of the AOA because this is pretty liquidy, and I'm going to just dip it on one side of it. And then use your finger just to dab it out. And it just gives a lightness. So I'm going to do a little bit more. I really love this stuff. It works so good under an eyebrow, because it's not a glimmer at all. It's just a nice sheen. Just dab it out. You want it to be pretty even. All right, and then I'm going to take that fluffy brush again and then just make sure it doesn't have any ending and beginning lines. Does that make sense? As you can see, none of that glimmer is getting on the corner of my eyes. I don't want that at all. The last step I'm going to do is just make sure that this is as dark as it can be without being too dark. So I'm going to take that same Rephr number 2 brush, the same little flat one that I used, and make sure it's on one side, and then just define this a little bit more just to be sure no glitter got on that poofy area. A concealer that is close to my skin color, so you can use any drugstore one. This just happens to be the one I have. This is not the vital part to the poofy area. This is just more of a good practices to clean up the area. So I'm going to take a small Real Techniques brush and just put it on the edge here. And I'm just going to dab it right there to just kind of define my lid and shadow. And I'm going to just dab it out so it doesn't look so distinct. But that way I have a more defined eyelid area. And it helps to bring your eyes more up because it's a line of distinction. Does that make sense? Curling lashes is a vital part of this whole thing. I know that some of you do not like to curl lashes, but your lashes are going to help to disguise this whole area because it will make people look more on the outward. When you have things that are happening on this side, people don't look here as much, they look out here. So it's important to make those lashes stand out. So I'm using the Rephr curler. I love this curler. Even that helps. But then you put mascara on it and it's like magic. Magic. Sometimes it's a challenge to curl my lashes because of my poofy eyes. Sometimes that poof will just get in the way if it's really bad. For mascara, I'm going to use the Colossal Curl Bounce by Maybelline. This is one of my new favorite mascaras, and this is in the waterproof because that's all I use. Okay, so what you want to do is you definitely want to get your mascara in the corner as well. Like you want to just give it a good all over. But don't skip the inner part because that will disguise some of that poof. As you can see, that just kind of disguises that whole area even more. People are looking at your eyelashes, they're looking at your pretty shimmer above your eye, but they're not necessarily looking at the poof. Or you're looking at your kitty. This is my kitty, Mia. Hello, Mia. She hates to be held. So this is what it looks like with the poof before and then after. You can just see how your eye just doesn't go to that poof anymore. It really diminishes it and makes people look at the pretty parts of your eyes, not the eyes that might make you look a little bit older. If you would like some ideas for tips and tricks on how to make your foundation look amazing, I will link a video right here. I'll see you over there or maybe another one. God bless.